Welcome to the first turn. I'm
Yeah.
Hyena.
Yeah, and so I had to throw the food in the waiter's face.
Yeah, man, that's sometimes you just have to.
Sometimes you have to.
They ask for it, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, welcome. We are going to talk about some Warhammer today. We've got Adepticon coming up. We were just talking about a little over 3 weeks away.
Yep.
Are you ready? I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. No, you're never ready. Like, you're always so excited for it. I'm Llama, by the way. But I'm always so excited for Adepticon when it's coming. And then as it gets close, you realize you're not ready. Yeah.
Oh, you're ready. No. I was talking last week about how I've got lists that I'm building and coming up with and trying to figure out what models I need and stuff like that. But my issue becomes when it's time to build a list, I come up with one, and then it turns out I don't have those models painted. The ones I want to play. The event I'm playing in actually did have a rules pack, call it, available. They just emailed me about it last week, but apparently it was on the Adepticon's short list of actual rules uploaded for the events. Like that page, there is a page apparently that has the official rules packs and stuff associated with it. And this small narrative campaign event had uploaded their rules to that. But I didn't know it was there. So I had a few weeks where I was I had the stuff available and I could have been looking at it, getting working on it sooner. So apologies for last week if I'm like, where are the damn rules?
Well, what's funny is that made me relook at my registration because I got I have two badges. I have a vendor badge because I'll be at a vendor stall, and then I have and I have an instructor badge because I'll be teaching a class, and I have the advanced badge because I wanted the swag. So
are you gonna wear all three of them?
All
and
of
then,
them.
What you're doing? You're like, is it? It's this one, or is it this?
Look like a member of the Bee Gees, just crazy cool medallions, right? And
you do that thing where you have them all hanging off of one another. They're just dangling off of each other.
Yep. And so those are all supposed to mail out because I'm getting some of them in the mail. Those are supposed to mail out now. So we should be seeing those soon. But I was looking back through it after you were talking about that, and I was like, I forgot which classes I signed up for. So I went to go look at what I was registered for, and I noticed something was missing. My Warhammer preview event that I signed up for when I got my badge wasn't on there on my event schedule. Now, I was worried because then I went and looked and it's sold out. It's at capacity.
Right.
I reached out to the event coordinator, and literally within 10 minutes, they saw that I had added it to my cart originally. So they just went and added me back in. So it's now on my event schedule. So
I'm pretty sure mine was showing. I'm almost positive mine was on there.
So that was remedied. And then I have some good news. It turns out the classes I'm teaching have now officially sold out. So they're at capacity. And I think we're reaching the deadline of where people can't keep ad dropping stuff pretty soon. I think this week even.
Yeah, and that's why, it's also kind of why I went in there sometime in the last week or so just to verify all the things that I've got. Just because, we're getting really close to that, that cutoff. A couple of the events I was looking for last year were not showing up. Maybe it's they can't make it to Milwaukee. Maybe it's something like that where the gaming clubs that are running some of the events can't make it. Milwaukee's not that much farther than Schaumburg was, but I guess it depends which direction you're coming from. If you're coming from further south, you're tacking in an extra hour and a half to your drive. So I get it.
Right.
But it's kind of a bummer because that was the one I liked the most, and the one I liked the most is not showing up.
But
that's okay.
We were talking about something that I thought was interesting is we used to play the Warhammer Age of Sigmar team event, and where it was 2-person on a team, you each had 1,000 points. You kind of wanted to be a little more fun and not, and you go in and you play 3 rounds, 4 rounds. And then they haven't had that for years. Their team event has been this weird 4-player format where you rotate which partner you're with each round. And I'm sure that's still fun, but we found in trying to make that happen, it was hard to find 4 people who had 4 different Age of Sigmar lists at 1,000 points that were all painted and who could be available that day. And so,
because that was the issue. It's not just hey, show up with a friend and play. It was, hey, find 3 other people. All of you need to dedicate a day or 2 to this event, and it's all day, and you all have to have armies. And when we were looking at it last time, it was your 4 armies also need to make sense together. There can't be duplicates. You have to come up with a collective backstory, and you got to have a unified paint scheme for all 4 armies. And it's like, whoa, I'm out. Like, are you kidding me?
Coordinating that was so difficult. And then, but we looked, and we have some friends who are participating in the 40K pairs event. And so it's 2-man, you each have 1,000 points, painted, whatever, but you go play basically a competitive tournament in pairs. It's not like 3 days long or whatever. It's just one day. But I was like, why don't they still have that on the Age of Sigmar site?
Yeah,
pairs would be great.
I mean, I saw
maybe I missed it. Maybe it's there and I missed it.
One year, Rhino and I did because they didn't have the pairs anymore for like anything, we did pairs of War Machine.
Yeah.
And that was fun. Like, it doesn't matter the game system, really. No. I just want to play with somebody. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where it's like it's co-op, you know, like I don't know. It's something about
takes a little
moral support. It's something about, you know, have
it takes a little pressure off of decision making too, because one of you will have an idea, the other one doesn't. One of you will see something, the other one doesn't, or one of you has a group of units that work really well against whatever you're. And so I don't know. It just I found it really relaxing, and yet you could still be a little competitive if that's what you like. It's like I love playing Total War solo, but every now and then doing a joint campaign with another person, a co-op, like where you're both playing factions and taking turns, that's a blast every now and then, right? I don't know.
No, I get that. I totally get that. But yeah, for whatever reason, they haven't run an Age of Sigmar one in a long time like that, which is a real shame because it's some of my favorite events, honestly.
Yeah.
1,000 points per army, you're also like prevented from bringing really cheesy combos.
Yeah.
Right. Like really big skew lists and things like that, where it's like, well, you know, like other games, it's worse, right? Like playing against knights in 40K is a problem. If you bring an all comers list, you know, sometimes you can't kill those models. You don't have enough guns that are high enough strength with high enough damage that you're ever going to statistically kill your opponent. And so, like, you could be shut out of advancing in a competitive game because you run into a list that is so heavily, you know, statted in one direction or the other. Same thing as if someone ran 500 guardsmen, right? Like that used to be a thing. You play the conscript spam, like,
yeah,
you know, you've got a dreadnought list or something that's got like, okay, well, my dreadnought's got 5 shots, 6 shots per turn. For high strength, it's wasted on these guys.
Yep.
I cannot kill 500 models over the course of a 5-turn game.
Nope.
You know, problematic. Skew lists. So some of that stuff is kind of phased out when you play. It's still a 2,000 point game on each side, but it's 1,000 points per person. So you're not going to bring something like Nagash, who's 860 points of your 1,000 points. You're not going to do that kind of thing. You're not going to bring a big 500 point model. That's still too many. It's too much of liability. So you generally have better, smaller, you know, smaller size models, more of them, so you can have an actual decent list. It was more fun. It took a lot of the cheese out of it. So I enjoyed that, and I really wish, I don't want to run it, but I wish they'd bring that back. Someone would run that, you know. Oh well.
You know, I think it would be pretty simple for them, and I think they'd fill. I don't think it would cannibalize their 4-person event. If they wanted to do pairs and call it that instead of teams to avoid confusion, do it. I guarantee you, if they did teams and they said 124 teams can participate, I bet it would fill up. Like, and I know I had a lot of fun. That would be a one-day event that I would participate in, absolutely, because I just am not in a place where I can do the preparation to do a solo event, where you really have to study and you have to get the reps in. You got to play 2,000 points for 8 hours day 1, 8 hours day 2. Like, but going in with someone and playing 6 hours of pairs, that sounds, I would love to go back to doing that. Now, on the, speaking of new and upcoming things, so it looks like today, Sunday, March 1st, Games Workshop dumped all of a whole bunch of stuff that has been previewed either from the last preview event and or the Maelstrom stuff and they're like, by the way, this is all going to be on pre-order next week.
Yeah. So this weekend, I would say there's a lot of maybe the last big preview. Everything that was shown in the last big preview is pretty much available
Paid off
this week or next. Yeah. So we had like what is available now to pre-order is the Old World Cathay like peasants, right? We have seen them. They're available to pre-order. The new Bastion or whatever, the Great Bastion rules for playing the peasants. Those like plastic destructors or whatever for Admech in Horus Heresy, plus the new like Skitarii for like the Dune Striders for Horus Heresy. All of that stuff that was shown off, all available right now. And then for next week, the preview is pretty much all of the Corsairs and Red Corsairs and all of the like other factions characters that were shown off. So Tau and Votan and the Lash Whip Prime. All of that stuff is just like, oh well, here it is. Here's stuff for 5 different factions plus throw in a couple of combat patrols in there too. Why not?
Yeah. By the way, stores, you have to order all this now.
Yeah.
So it's funny is as a longtime Tyranids collector, I don't want to say player so much, but I found it interesting. This Prime on foot with Lash Whip and sword and whatever. He has 3 weapons that he gets to play with.
Yeah,
and
I thought that was funny that they actually called him Prime with Lash Whip when he's like, you've got 3 weapon profiles to choose from that are good, that make him good at fighting any kind of infantry.
Not only that,
you have high attacks, low attacks, high strength, low strength, high damage, low like he can deal with anything.
Not only that, by the way, but here's what's funny is the big, so Tyranid's got a massive, for those who don't know, when 10th edition 40K launched, Tyranid's got a massive range of models. Some were new and some were glow ups on old ones, long overdue. They look great. I collected all of them. Their Tyranids look great now. I love the new aesthetic. It's funny is like their big, bad dual assassin model was supposed to be the Norn emissary / Norn assimilator, and they were supposed to hunt 2 different things. And look at similar models in other factions. The Catan Shard of the Nightbringer comes to mind, by the way, who can whoop the ass of almost any model solo right now. The Avatar of Cain for Eldari, Space Marines have 2 Primarchs, Chaos has 4, Orcs have Gazkul. The Norn emissary and Norn assimilator can't fight any of those. Like they lose hands down. What's more, they cost just as much in the points. But and they're easy to shoot. Because they don't have any protection of being like a hero near a unit. This Tyranid Prime on foot with the Lash Whip, just to put it in perspective, the Norn Emissary gets 4 attacks that hit on 2s, Strength 7, AP 2, Damage 2. With the same claw, it's named the same thing, it's Rending Claw. The Tyranid Prime on foot gets 4 attacks that hit on 2s also, but they're Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 3.
Why?
And I know points-wise, he's going to cost like half of what that thing does, maybe even less.
Less than half. He might be like 110.
He's going to get to attach to warriors and hide. And so he is just so much better than your Norn Emissary. Like those Norns, they've never been able to get right. They're not seeing play other than the fact that someone will pay the tax to just score 15 points with it or whatever it is on an objective. And then or count as 15, whatever on an objective for 1 turn and then it dies. So these big centerpiecey ones the Tyranid's got just don't do anything. This little guy, I think, is immediately amazing. I could be wrong. He seems super good.
Well, then, and like the things he can attach to are Hormagaunts, Tormagaunts, both kinds of warriors, ranged in the melee. And his attachment rule is any attack you make with him or his attached unit just gets sustained 1.
Yeah.
That's so good.
It is.
Like, there's no bad unit for him to attach to. You could use sustained 1 on any of those units.
Termagants or warriors, so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's great. So I don't understand. Because when we wanted the Norn Emissary and the Norn Assimilator to be like, we were like, oh, remember the Dimakaran from Forge World?
Right.
That model was so cool. It could just eat things and it destroyed vehicles. This is the replacement for that. And then it's like, we saw the rules from him, like, so what is he good at fighting? Like, he's not tough enough. He doesn't have a good enough save. He doesn't have a good enough invulnerability. He doesn't have a good enough feel no pain. His weapons aren't very strong. It's like, what does he fight? Like, what is his ideal target? And they're like, okay, maybe Terminators or something, right? Because he's only AP2.
Right.
Well, they're going to be on their invuln save, so he's forcing that 50-50. His strength is high enough that he's wounding him reliably, but then it's like, okay, so he kills some Terminators and then dies. You were down.
They will definitely kill him in return.
Yeah. Because okay, so you're down, like you brought this unit to kill Terminators, you did it. You are now down 200 points because you cost that much more than the unit you killed. It's like, It's a head scratcher. It's a very cool model. It's not a leader for some reason. Nope. Like, anyway, if they made it lone op, if they gave it strength 14, like give it something, right, to make it do something.
Well, what's funny is the one that has a built-in invulnerable save and has a psychic shooting attack is the one you usually use. That's the emissary. But he costs less than the one that only fights in melee and doesn't get an invuln save. So I don't know what their thought was there. And no matter how many points revisions that have come in this edition, that's always been the case. So
that needs to be revisited. Honestly, it really, really does. Maybe they thought it was going to be too good because it's the rules for the infiltrator beasts are like really good. Maybe they thought it's like, oh well, we don't want to make them too good because then he'll be unkillable. And it's like you don't have to worry about that. Based on what you gave him, you do not need to worry about him being unkillable.
No. Now, the fact that he has to run around solo, he can't hide anywhere. I mean, like they could have made him do so much more. And we could be seeing, now I know the first thing that people cry is like rules creep. Now, power creep. Now that there are so many examples of that not being true and then examples of it. I think it's not even a rules creep thing. I think what happened is all the codexes are out. 10th edition's coming to an end. And so for the last 6 months, they're basically saying, whatever.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. Here's cool stuff. Here's campaigns. Here's crazy rules that are going to totally change the power balance in the game, but you're only going to get a couple months to do it, and then 11's coming anyway. So we kind of saw that happen at the end of the last edition, even though they goofed and released 2 codexes super late, Astra Militarum and World Eaters. But the rest of the stuff for the game was like that, where it was like really powerful, lots of combos. Here, play with this for a couple months because the edition's changing anyway. So it could be something like that.
I think the crazy thing is that the really good combos and things they came out with late were so fun and fluffy, and they weren't even broken, right? No. Like they weren't even like too good. It's like, oh, the game is ruined for these 6 months because they came out with this goofy thing. Like, no, they were pretty solid. Besides maybe like Crusher Stampede, that was later in the edition.
Crusher Stampede,
that was kind of ridiculously powerful. Yeah. But Crusher Stampede, when they changed editions, they really reined it back in. Mm-hmm. But like the other fun stuff that came at the end of the edition was like, okay, this feels like the army. This is good. This is like design rules like this. And then everything got wiped. We went back to Index, and everything was very vanilla until books started coming out. I think they need to take those lessons and just build them into the edition when it starts. If you're going to go back to an Index, which I hope they don't, right? I hope the rules don't change enough in this next edition that they're going to have to start over. I hope we can still use those codexes or something and not just start from nothing again. Because it takes so long to build up to every army having a book.
It does.
Right?
It does.
But I want to see fluffy and powerful rules, but give it to everybody. You know what I mean? Like we've seen sort of a vanillification, a dumbing down of some of the rules in the games right now, right? Age of Sigmar is one that definitely has it. We talked about that with weapon profiles, right? Like 2 different units, 2 different armies have units with multi-weapons. One army is just like, nope, you're just whatever weapons. And you were like, no, you got special rules for your spears. You got special rules for your axes. You got special rules for your swords. They all do for different things. They all cost different things. It's like, let's make it even. Let's give it to everybody. That's how an edition needs to be. I mean, we saw that when 10th started. Index rules for like, what was it, Eldar were so good that they lived half the edition without rules and they competed the whole time. But then you had Drukhari, which are like, their rules were nothing. You didn't get anything. It was sad. they need to learn to like have effective and powerful rules for every army from the previous edition at the start. Don't just wipe it all and make it all vanilla and baseline. We don't need that. You're
Well,
not
and
a new game.
if they are going to do that when they decide it's time to go index because we've radically changed some rules, so we need every army to be playable now. Okay, but I would argue then don't do waves of your codex / battle tome releases where the design feels so different from the first chunk to the second chunk.
Yeah, like, I mean, you bring that up, but the latest books in Age of Sigmar are like that.
Yeah,
their rules are so good, but then you look back at Slaves of Darkness and Stormcast and Skaven and those armies, you're like, you open the book and you're like, you have nothing. What Skaven get? Like because I'm building a Skaven list for my event. Skaven get this: instead of fighting, you can retreat. That's an army rule. That's an army rule you get, and it's like a chance of happening.
Yeah.
When you retreat, you don't take mortal wounds. Okay. In your opponent's movement phase or hero phase, one of your units gets to move in your opponent's hero phase. It's like, okay, so where's the flight? Like, what? You didn't give them anything to actually do anything to your opponent. You gave me rules to run away. That's what that army gets.
Well, it's funny. Those three armies you list, Stormcast, Skaven, Slaves to Darkness. So it's funny. It's like a tournament result will come in every now and then, and one of those armies managed to win or something, right? And you look at the list, and it's like, okay. But the way they had to build that list, usually, it is so skewed and so one note. And they just don't have combos and synergies that make them really fun to do the thing that they do when they have to try to win. So like for Stormcast, it's the same thing. It's like, what do they do? Nothing except they can kind of just deep strike onto objectives and missions where that's really what you want to do. But they're not winning fights, and they're not having fun engagements. There's no fun combos doing anything that let these rules sort of explode throughout the game. Nope. They're deep striking and stealing points. That's it. That's all they do. The most stalwart superhuman defenders of Sigmar just drop in and steal objectives.
So surely your characters and stuff have better stats than the heroes in other armies, right? No, worse, in fact.
Worse.
Most Stormcast heroes are 5 or 6 wounds, 3 or 4 attacks at 2 damage. You've got Skaven heroes that are 6 or 7 wounds with 6 attacks. You've got like goblins out there with 5 wounds, 3 up saves, 6 attacks at 2. It's like,
yeah,
what is going on? Like early books, they like massively under rules, massively understated units. And then later rules are like, well, in order to make it different and more impactful, we need to have these leaders actually do stuff. It's like, okay, we'll revisit the other ones. Because like a Stormcast Lord Celestant, who's like a captain of the Stormcast, his stats are as good as a goblin boss. It's like,
but he costs like 4 times as many points.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
And for Slaves to Darkness, we've waxed and mourned about them because like their army rules do nothing. You don't even worry about their army rules. You don't use them at all.
Worry about it.
The whole thing you do with Slaves to Darkness, well, I'll take whatever is the killiest Death Star.
Yeah.
That'll eat up like 800 or more points of my army, and I will just point them at something and hope that I kill enough that I get to win the game that way. And if I don't, then I just don't do anything because I can't interact after turn 2.
So, the only thing you worry about with them is which unit costs the most and kills the most, and which that unit is going to be Mark of Khorne. And all you need to remember is they get +1 attack when they charge. Done. That's your army's rules. That's it.
Yeah,
one unit in your army gets +1 attack when they charge. That is Stormcast, or that is
and that unit when they kill stuff will then like accrue some bonuses, but like the
not anymore. I don't think they do it. I don't think they do that.
The Eye of the Gods table doesn't do anything now, and then it's like for Skaven, their army rule not only, as you already outlined, does nothing. The only way they're winning is because specifically of the Scourge of Gyron units that added more flavor to what that unit did. And so now lately, from Maggotkin to Nurgle, Disciples of Tzeentch, Lumineth Realm Lords, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, These books have come out, even Hellsmiths of Hashut, these books have come out and they have way more fun. Like they are more powerful overall, but not because they're broken. It's they have just way more stuff they can do. You can almost dartboard how you list build them and find synergies and combos that are just so much fun. And they do stuff in all 5 turns of the game, not only alpha. It's not just turn 1 and 2. So,
well, I think Lumineth is a great example. Lumineth Realm Lords gives blanket bonuses to your entire army every single turn. Impactful ones, extra rend, extra like for your entire army. That's powerful. That is big. You know, like my biggest issue, I think, with the disparity in the battle tomes is not just like, okay, well, if you've got like a unit, so say you're playing a very, very small game and you've got some mark of whatever on a Slaves of Darkness unit. And then you've got, as a Lumineth player, this rune that you can give to your army, and like that one unit benefits from it. You're on an even playing ground, right? Like you've got a unit that's got a buff. I've got a unit that's got a buff. We're kind of even in terms of army rules. But when you get to a 2,000 point game and the number of units you can give marks to for Slaves of Darkness does not increase because you get to choose exactly one unit to give a mark to, besides like a banner and whatever. We'll ignore that, relics and things like that. Lumineth gets those bonuses for the entire army. It scales up to a bigger size game. A lot of the battle tome issues we run into is it's once per turn army.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I'm playing a 500 point game or a 3,000 point game, I get to do this once per turn. Whereas these other units that have these sweeping passive buffs to their whole army, it's like, well, you're benefiting on it. How many units you have? 7 or 8 times per turn.
Right.
It doesn't scale.
That's
my issue.
It's the stratagem multiplier. So if you remember in 40K, it was like when they couldn't figure out, GW that is, couldn't figure out how to make the stratagems work quite right at first. It was, for one, people could soup armies and get access to more stratagems. And of course, Imperium could do that more than anybody else. So even though Imperium had crappy units, they had access to more of these things. Then it was, what is the cheapest unit you can put the most models in? Because this stratagem that provides a passive buff then multiplies accordingly to the size of the unit. And so when one army could do that and you get this multiplicative bonus as the game grows bigger, it's just a huge advantage. Whereas other armies would have like, well, this one costs 2 CP, does really nothing, and it only affects one unit ever, and it has to be a unit with this keyword. So no matter what game you're playing, you're only getting that one thing. And so it's the same kind of problem. They just don't have stratagems like that in Age of Sigmar. But yeah, these army-wide rules, when it's like full army-wide buffs and they change or scale every turn, now you're playing a 2,000 point game. If I've got 11 units, that is a whole lot of multipliers. Whereas no matter the size of game, no matter which units they're playing, Slaves to Darkness can buff one unit with like, and so that just doesn't scale. And then they're not even statted in such a way that they win the fights on their own anyway. So I don't know. Those first books in AOS 4 were so disappointing as soon as like the good books started coming out. Actually, they were disappointing when
they were disappointing immediately because they were worse than the index.
They were worse than the index, yeah.
They changed the rule drastically and made them worse. Like the index Slaves of Darkness, every unit that killed something would get
an Eye of the Gods roll. Yeah.
And they'd get these like buffs as they personally were killing things. Well, they took the Eye of the Gods away and gave it to one hero that you have to nominate at the beginning of the game. He's got to kill 8 units by himself or some shit. And then you have a chance of turning into a demon prince who is not that much better than that character. It's just like, what? Wow, okay, so I get to turn my character into he basically gains 3 max health on turn 4. Who cares? And that's if he doesn't die first. Because a different hero doesn't get nominated, a different hero doesn't acquire or inherit that. No, it's just if he dies, you lose your army rule. It's just so disappointing. So disappointing.
And it turned out it's better to just like buy demon princes or whatever anyway.
Or just not even play around it. Just ignore it. It's never gonna work.
Yeah, and these new rules, like I remember opening the Maggot Kin of Nurgle one, and while you and I have our thoughts on the continuation of the writing, publishing, and printing of these paper books, I get that Maggot of Nurgle one, and it just felt so different from the first books I bought in the edition, which I bought the Skaven one and the Slaves to Darkness one when they came out. And they felt like now I have the index for $60. And
that's what it was. It's like you went from index to index, and now we're charging you $60 to keep the index.
And it was so disappointing. And people can talk about pictures and hobby things and showing all the faction color schemes, and that didn't even feel worth it. The Magnican of Nurgle book, when I opened it, it was like, this is not only formatted in a way that's different and far more interesting, but the rules just offer so much more. And we know it's not too good because that's been out for a while now, and they're not like tearing up the tournament scene. So, but it feels good still when you're playing with these things because they have all these fun interactions that do. And now each army is getting a very different style. You and I were talking about us here at Bone Reapers on how they've got ways to now do this like screening, movement lane blocking, kick flipping version of a build. And they also have like a castle build that they can do. And it's like that gives different types of players so much more to do with an army than just like, here's one army wide rule that affects one unit once per turn. Like, I don't know.
No, 100%. I hope they work that out. I hope these armies actually get some sort of mid-edition update. That's what I'm hoping for, is they realize that it's like, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately, but it would be nice to see like, hey, we realize these armies aren't, while they are performing decently in the tournament scene, these are not fun armies to play.
That's the big one. They're not
they're not fun to play. They're not interesting. There's no divergence in the list building. Like the army rules really don't matter. You're not really playing with them, because Stormcast are like that too. You get to bring back one unit of infantry at half strength once per game or some shit. Like, who cares? Like there are characters in other armies that just do that every turn for our CP.
Yeah.
Like that's your army rule. Come on. Anyway, yes, there needs to be some sort of reevaluation. I don't know what their method is for that.
Well, I think their seasonal and campaign stuff is helpful. Like, we're seeing that right now in full force as we're in the last months of 40K 10th. But on the Age of Sigmar side, when they did the Scourge of Gyron stuff, they did take some units that were struggling and they gave them sort of a glow up. But even on like the Slaves to Darkness side, they did it with some Darko things, and then they did it with Abraxia. And that was fine because they did make those units better, but they still don't interact with the army in a way that you can really take advantage of it every time.
No, Slaves to Darkness only got Abraxia, I think. She was the only change. They needed other updates, but they only got Abraxia.
Whereas now, like for Magakin, they decided that the Scourge of Gyron Radagast is still legal, and then you have the one in the Battle Tome, and they function very differently, but they're both very good. And so that's a decision you can make. That's like one of those fun, hard choices you can make. Those early books need a mid-edition update, because otherwise we are waiting until summer of next year where those armies just don't do much.
So I'm torn about the whole Scourge of Gyron thing, right? I like it. I'll go without and say this. It's a safe way to give certain units an update, right? Because instead of like unilaterally deciding, hey, we're going to take this character and we're going to turn them into something else and drastically change how they play. Well, some people might like the old way that they play and don't want them to change it. But here's a new version of it that you can take instead of, hey, more ways to play. That's great. But it's limited to match play. It's limited to using this rules pack for this season.
Yeah.
And then the fate of that unit is a big mystery once they roll out the next General's Handbook. So it's like, well, my Abraxia, I like the new one a lot better because the old one, for example, is relies on you synergizing with taking Varangard, another very expensive unit.
Very expensive.
It's like Abraxia and 6 Varangard is like 1,000 points. It's absurd. And it only does one little thing for that. The new one is like a much more of a lone operative, can do her own fighting and all that. I think she's better designed that way. Her old rules should have been like that should be like a Regiment of Renown rule. you get just for bringing her,
Yeah,
or an
right.
army of renown, for bringing her specific army that synergizes with Vanguard. That should be the rule she gets for it, and then she should just have this new update. But it's one thing when you get an alternate rule like that for a named character, right? Because a named character is a specific thing. You can't customize it. You can't give it artifacts. You can't do anything weird with it. So you just got a different version of it. But some of the units that they updated were generic ones. And they said specifically, well, if you choose this Scourge of Gyron version of it, every instance of that unit in your army needs to be the Scourge of Gyron. You can't take the other one. And some of them were a lot better. Some of them were not. It was just an alternate way of using them. But really, in my mind, you're saying, okay, well, we've got these two versions of these rules for this unit, but we don't know which one we want to keep, which one's better. They're basically two different units that we're giving you, but we're not getting you a set, like another unit, another kit to make this other unit. Because that's kind of what it feels like they want to do, right? Like the Namarti Thralls, the Ideneth Deepkin unit, very different roles, the two versions of them. The Carrick Acolytes, very different versions of those two units. I wish I could take them both, because one's like a wizardy sorcerer unit of infantry, and the other one's very much just a melee unit of infantry. And it's like, well, Tzeentch just kind of needs both of those units. Why are you making me choose one or the other? Like that, it kind of feels like this is a band-aid for some of those armies, and it's like you're avoiding giving them more by giving them this. Here's an alternate version of this unit you can take. So while I like it, it's also like you can go further. We can do more with that.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of mid-edition updates to the game and to armies. Execution could be called into question. Like I said, you and I have talked about when they go through these design waves where it's like, oh, they designed these 6 books together and then started working on the next group. Well, you can feel it because those 6 books have a similar style and they similar level of vanilla, and they're relatively competitive with one another. But then it's like, then the next 6 come and it's not that there's a power creep. It's just they do so much more and are so much more interesting. That shouldn't, I don't feel like design philosophy should change like that. I would rather avoid the vanilla one altogether and just do the interesting one. But
I think another thing we notice is lack of rules on units. Yeah. More recent versions of Battle Tomes, every unit basically has a rule, some kind of special thing that they do. You look at some of those earlier books, some of those characters, and it's hilarious. What does the Lord Relictor do in Stormcast? He used to have an ability that lets him shrug wounds. He used to have an ability that lets him like a special prayer and everything that he could use. A healing storm was a lightning bolt or a healing storm. His rules now are you get +1 to chant. Doesn't have anything else. There's no synergy on him. There's no unique prayer on him. He gets to use the prayers from the book, and he gets +1 to chanting. That is his entire war scroll. It's like,
yep.
Are you joking? Like, why did you remove all of the unique things from all like the wizards and priests? Why can't they have their own thing? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you get the lore, but I'm bringing this specific guy because he's got this specific extra thing. And like they lost a lot of that. It's kind of weird. I don't know. And then you see newer ones where they've got all this unique stuff that they do, and it's like, well, where is this but for older armies?
Yeah. And
I don't know. It's weird.
And there even could be cause for making them 2 different things so that it's not, well, if you take the Scourge of Gyron version of this generic unit, you can't take the other one. Whereas like in 40K, we saw with hyper adapted Raveners and Raveners,
right?
You can actually take both data sheets in your army and they do different things.
Like I said, for like unique characters, though, it made sense because you can only bring that character one time anyway.
Yep.
Right? Like you can't bring 2 Abraxias. You can't bring an Abraxia and a Scourge of Gyron Abraxia.
Right.
If they're the same character, right? But for like other units where you're basically coming up with a new war scroll for a different loadout, that's what the Scourge of Gyron version is. Why not be able to take both? Like I don't understand that, because that's kind of what they were trying to do. Is it's like, well, this unit has pole arms, so they fight better. This one has, they throw energy out of their hand, so they're more shooting. 2 different war scrolls. Okay, well, would it be broken if I brought one of each? What's the problem? You know what I mean? It's too confusing for the opponent. It's like, no, it's not. Like, what your opponent has on their list.
I'll be interested to see if they do another. I guess maybe they won't do another season. We know another General's Handbook will come out this year, but whether or not they name a season with something and come up with new units or new rules for it, I don't know. We've heard that they're going to do end of year campaigns for those last 6 months or whatever, like they're doing in 40K. So I'm sure some updates to armies will come with that. We talked ad nauseum the last couple of weeks about what armies still have major releases coming in AOS 4, and that could be a part of that. But yeah, so some of those early armies I just feel so bad for, because even if they find a way to win, they're not like fun to use, and there's really only like one way you can kind of build them. And I don't know, that's not fun for you or really the opponent.
Right.
And
oh man, and like I said, I loathe to see what's gonna happen when this season ends, because if those units just like, okay, well, the Scourge of Gyron season's over, those war scrolls are gone. It's like I've ran into that this week when I was list building for my narrative campaign, because we're not using seasonal rules for that. And so it's like, oh yeah, I want to play Skaven. I'm going to bring that new Scourge of Gyron Brood Terror. And I'm like, oh, I can't. I have to take the old one, the one that sucks, for 10 points less. It's 10-point difference or something. And it's so much worse. It's like, they should have just updated it with this other rule. And I hope they kind of do that when the season changes. They're like, okay, well, the Scourge of Gyron was more popular than the old version of it. It's just the new war scroll for it. It's no longer called Scourge of Gyron. It's going to replace the old war scroll. But not everyone will be in that same boat. People will be divided on some of these because they have different functions. It's not going to feel good regardless, So I don't know. I hope they're not digging themselves a hole.
A gnaw hole. And with the rumored Eshin updates to Skaven, we know at least rules for their war scrolls will change. Probably have to. But I wonder then if they'll bring something else. Like I guess that's a fine update in the interim for Skaven, but like their core rules still going to suck. Their army rules still going to suck.
There's no army rule that synergizes with any clan besides like, oh, well, your clan Pestilence, you can use prayers because the army has prayers. That's your army rule, like for that sub faction. It's like, that doesn't count. But you don't have any plague priests, so you can't actually use those prayers.
You can't use them. Yep.
Yeah, you have to bring this weird underworld warband character unit that has a plague priest in it that can chant in order to use prayers. It's like
that's how you get them.
But there's nothing in there that says, oh, well, Eshin get this, and Pestilence get this, and Verminus get this. It's like none of that's in there anymore.
No.
And so like you're just raw stats, and your infantry can retreat. Like that's the army.
It's the whole army. Yep.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, unless the Eshin units have stats out the roof or something to make up for it, I don't know. I don't know, because you look at the Legends rules for them, because they're still available. They ain't very good. They're oddly designed. And so if they just carbon copy those and print them, and this are your rules now, while they may look neat, because I love Clan Eshin, I do like the look of that, they may not see the table. So.
Yeah, well, we've seen at least on the Age of Sigmar side, they've kind of like eliminated sub factions within each faction in terms of getting their own rules. They've got them by design, and they've got like which units a hero wants to hang out with. Lore wise, they've got them right. You've got like Crethusa, who hates Marathi, who hates her dad, her son, or whichever one he is, and but like you got a Turnus who hates Archaon, but they don't have a sub faction set of rules for them. They just have a unit type they like to hang out with. So I guess in Skaven, that's one of those that hits a little harder, because Skaven's identity for so long was always these clans that operate in a very specific way, and then like your Council of 13 Gray Seers who operate in a very specific way. And now you don't really have any of that. You don't even really have keywords that play nice together. So maybe we'll see with the Eshin thing a little bit of a push for that.
The only way that Eshin works right now, just as an example of what they're trying to do with synergy in units as opposed to, and I'll talk about that too a little bit, the synergy within units as opposed to synergy from an army rule. I think Eshin are a good example of this. Bone Reapers are a good example of this. You have to bring a character that synergizes with a unit to unlock a core ability for the unit. They've been doing that. So Eshin can't innately run and shoot and charge. You have to have the character nearby that allows him to do it. That's silly. You're all Skaven assassins. Like, why do you have to have the master assassin nearby, wholly within a range of you, to use the ability that you used to have? Right? They took it away. The cavalry for Bone Reapers, they don't innately do +1 damage on the charge anymore.
Nope.
They took that away and gave it to the named character that says one unit that charged this turn can now have +1 damage when you charge. That's silly. Every other cavalry unit in the game gets +1 damage when they charge. All of them. Unless you're like a shooting unit that has a horse. If you have a melee weapon and you charge, you are +1 damage. That's just a core rule, right? Basically, in all but like actual name, that is just a rule of cavalry. They lost it. Weird. It's a weird thing to do. In favor of creating internal synergy with their units, they are taking away core abilities. It's strange. I don't like it. Eshin are like that. All of the things that the Eshin can do, it's either on the Vermin Lord or it's on the Death Master. They have to be nearby the units to do their normal things. It's odd. Not a fan of that, right? Certain things don't allow you to bring named characters, right? Like sometimes you can't do it. And like I'm playing an event where there's no named characters allowed. I had to scrap multiple lists because I can't play named characters. I can only play generic ones since my army doesn't function. Try playing Bone Reapers in an event like that where you're not allowed to bring named characters. Because the new Bone Reapers, all their characters generate discipline points. But the characters who generate enough points for your army to function are Catacros. It's the named Lord, the league, what's his name? Archduke, Legios, whatever his name is, Xantos.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't play those characters in an event like this. My army doesn't function all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So it's weird. It's a little weird sometimes. Growing Pains, new edition, whatever. I mean, it's not new at this point. We're halfway through it, but hope we shake it out and we get things kind of on the same ground in the future. We'll see. But yeah, but after all that deciding decision making, I did, by the way, decide on an army of what I think I want to play. So should be fine.
Okay. Well, we've heard that there was some Black Library celebration that was pushed off a little bit. And so we're supposed to get some more Horus Heresy, the second wave of Cathay stuff, which we've already seen.
Yeah.
Blood Bowl stuff, the Sylvaneth Battle Tome, and then the Eye of Terror campaign are all supposed to drop before or right up to Adepticon.
Where was that listed? You see that somewhere?
It's just one of the more reliable rumor mongers talking about named those specifically as dropping before we get to the Adepticon preview event. We'll see. We know that Mondays lately have had this trend of them showing off just a brand new model, which I don't know if that's their plan. They don't call it like New Model Monday. That just seems to be the day that they drop something kind of new. They've been largely surprising and not really much talked about. It's just also like, hey, here's a thing. No word yet on what that's supposed to be for tomorrow, if there's going to be one.
So if we think back the last couple of weeks, they showed off the new Knight.
Yep.
Right. That was a Monday release. A new medium-sized Imperial Knight, which I guess we didn't even mention yet.
No, we haven't even talked about that yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got little armigers, you've got the big, full size Imperial Knights. There's a medium size one now. I'm wondering if maybe this was supposed to be a redesign of the Big Knight that they were trying to re-release, in terms of like making it more dynamic and making it, whatever. I think they decided to release it alongside. So its size difference wise is not much smaller than the. I forget what is the normal Beetleback Knight called? What is that chassis? Do you remember?
I don't know. It's like Crusader class or something, because the big one's Domitar class.
Yeah.
And then it's like that one, which I think is Crusader class, and then there's now this class between
So
it.
it's a little smaller. We're not sure what its function is going to be on the table between those two different size knights. So I mean, we'll see. It's supposed to be faster or whatever. But
the WordCom article made it sound like it's got these jet engines or something that allow it to move quickly, and its weapons are short range, so it moves fast, gets in close. So it doesn't just stand and shoot across the table the way the bigger knights do. It doesn't operate like dreadnoughts like the little armatures do. It is this fast moving, rather large model.
Something in the middle. Yeah.
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 Go ahead.
And I was gonna say, the Monday before that, we had AdMac got showed off, right? The heavy gun guys with the new named character Archmagios.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Mondays are starting to be a thing now, where it's just new stuff.
Yeah, and so it's oddly made Mondays like exciting now, because like I visit the Warhammer community site every day. Whatever, and a lot of it is just useless filler, or if you blink, you missed whatever the cool article was because they put 3 other useless ones up after it. You and I may be biased, but we've noticed that about some Age of Sigmar ones where it's like, by the way, here's a huge announcement for Age of Sigmar, some rules change, some new model, but 15 minutes later, 3 other articles have been put up that bury it. But it's one thing that someone has noticed a trend of is that these sort of like major headlines for the week, they rarely do the same game system in back-to-back weeks headlining. So like, and someone specifically, I think the Mar or somebody on like the Grand Alliance forums went back years trying to confirm this and found like only 2 instances where one game system got like back-to-back headlines. So the guesses are that like next week we'll see the Sylvaneth be announced for pre-order like on the next Sunday, along with the date to Blood Bowl, Eye of Terror campaign, and possibly the 30K Custodes will be sort of shown off a little more, and then the actual Cathay release will be 2 weeks from yesterday. So that kind of like fills out the rest of the month. So anything we see from now would have to be new. I don't know what we should expect.
I mean, we were kind of talking a little bit here off camera before we started about Space Marines. Space Marines are obviously the posters of the game.
Yep.
And how they've kind of been kind of solidifying more of the fan favorites / less than canon chapters and characters as more of like officially in the universe, right? Like Forge World used to make a lot of models. Yep. They made they had their own, I believe it was 4 chapters of successors that they made named characters for, and they've all kind of gone away at this point. I mean, you've got some of them from like video games, you got some of their homebrew ones, but they're starting to release more like novels. Black Library has a new book coming out about the Shakaradons, kind of solidifying them in the lore more and explaining more about them because they're a fan favorite. But there's 4 of them that like, kind of stick out as being like, these are potentially canon things that could impact the story, especially if we talked about a couple weeks ago, the 40K lore is evolving so that there might be a rift between the Imperium, right? You've got like the old style of thinking versus the new style of thinking, the High Lords of Terra versus the Lord Commander of the Imperium, maybe not seeing eye to eye. Though there are chapters out there that don't really have a love for the Imperium or who are tasked with doing dirty work for the Imperium, who are basically anti-Imperium. Yeah. Right? Like the Minotaurs, for example. I mean, you talking about how they are basically an arm of the Ordo Astartes, which is different from the um, like the Adeptus Astartes,
Yeah.
Adeptus Astartes. So there is an internal, call it internal investigation kind of Ordo that tracks down and hunts down actual Space Marines. The Minotaurs are kind of like those
Yeah, and
enforcers, right?
it's only implied and not fully official, but the Minotaurs have been seen consorting with the High Lords of Terra specifically, and this branch of the Inquisition that's like much smaller than other branches. But like, yeah, they've got lots of stories of being sent to hunt down other Space Marines, but they're loyalist.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and they've allegedly been seen with a new wave of Primaris Marines. So who knows? So yeah, there's fractures within the Imperium itself. So when people talk about a civil war brewing, there's like 2 or 3 major ones in the Imperium's history. I don't think it's going to look like it's not going to be like Horus style. It's going to be that where you have these fractured branches of government or whatever who butt heads, right? Like FBI and CIA not playing nice, and it leads to a disaster kind of thing. So that kind of thing. But there's not only fan favorites. We have seen, and this could just be coincidence, I don't know, that some of the Black Library lore is starting to affect stuff they do in game in terms of model releases, in terms of where they push the game story. There's been an Alpha Legion character, for example, who has gotten some love in some novels, and he's like this modern era Alpha Legionary. He's not like from the old war, and we have seen a rumor engine that shows the spear
Mm-hmm.
that he is seen with an artwork, but he has no model yet to pay that off.
Is that was it the Hero Master that was called? I remember the basically the cover of the book you're talking about, where he does have that that spear from the preview.
Solomon Akura is his name.
Okay.
Known as the First Flare. He's been in a recent set of books, and he's trying
the book is called Hero Master. Okay.
Yeah, and he's trying to unite some fractured parts of the Legion. But like, and so people have speculated. Now there's these rumor engine things that look like it could be him. They just haven't paid off yet. And it's like, maybe they're going to inject this, just like they brought, Huron here. They brought a couple of editions ago. Who was the Black Legion guy with the jump pack and the spear?
Oh, he's got so Blackheart,
Black Talon,
Harkin something.
Yeah, but same thing. It's like, it's for the first time in a while they're really introducing just brand new. Yes, they're tipping the hat to old ones and bringing nostalgia back, but they're also giving us these brand new players who are going to drive elements of the story forward. And I'm not opposed to that. We know a lot of things are cooking that haven't paid off yet with the Primarchs and with Bastor and with Bellicor and all these. And so the 4K story really being driven forward by that. I'm okay with new. Like, we sat with the same characters on the Edge of Midnight for 25 years. I think it's fine to.
Well, we were talking about maybe there's some cutting edge drops coming for Space Marines, even really shaking up how they're gonna look. I mean, there have been kind of talks about just the fact that there are a handful of legions, a handful of chapters that are Codex compliant. They show up in the same book usually. There are a bunch that aren't. You're like Divergent chapters that have their own codexes and stuff. Your Space Wolves and stuff. Well, we might see something where they differentiate that further. I mean, giving more unique characters, more epic heroes to every established chapter kind of does a little bit to drive that. So maybe we'll see something more like pamphlets where Codex Astartes is broken up a little bit more. And so you've got, here are very specific chapters, and here are the very specific rules for them again, like we used to have. And then here is everyone else. If you want to play your beloved X chapter, whatever it was, maybe there are rules that say, well, pick the aspects of your chapter from this list that, makes them work how you want them to. And that's Build-A-Bear Space Marine chapter, essentially. But because it would be in a separate book or a separate named thing, you can't use Build-A-Bear rules with other established chapters.
Right.
Mix those things and make some super, chapter master using that chapter.
Because we saw them try to do that before, where it was like pick 2 traits, and now so then Build-A-Bear chapters were they always gravitated towards like the same kind of things because you could always just build the strongest thing. So they might do something that's a little more refined than that, more elegant. They might also do something that's pretty simple, where like with the Iron Warriors getting a push, that doesn't mean Iron Warriors are going to get a separate codex. But what it could mean is, they released a new named character, they released an upgrade sprue, they painted a few models in the marks up, but that doesn't mean they're only that. But then if you release like a detachment, give that hero some unique rules, all of a sudden, now there's a way to play your Chaos Space Marines that feel like Iron Warriors. I think that's better than when they just did, like with the last Space Marine Codex, where it was like, well, there's no rules for the chapters. You just pick your chapter keyword, and everything has to be from that chapter. So you can't have an Ultramarines named guy with your Kassar Al-Khan or whatever. But there was nothing about the Space Marines Codex that made it really white scars necessarily. So I think if they try a little harder to make some named character have cool rules, and then here's a detachment that only they can use without having to release a whole other codex, like that's a super cool way for someone with their little pet chapter to get a thing. It seems like they're having no problems just producing new Space Marines in plastic or porting some over from Forge World. So, and then they gave some factions too. Now Raven Guard have 2 named guys, and Iron Hands have 2 named guys, and so now you take some of these other chapters that used to be Forge World, that are fan favorites, your Minotaurs, your Carcharodons, your Red Scorpions, your Blood Rape, whatever they are, make some plastic models with them. Here's a detachment rule and an upgrade sprue. And I think that just is so little effort for them, gives the Space Marine players, who are the cash cow of the game, to the ability to really customize their thing the way they want. I don't know. And that is even a good way for them to compete with like all the 3D printing out there. Because a lot of people want their Space Marine chapter to look like their own homebrew thing, so they will 3D print custom bits. GW is not a big fan. They're a fan of it hobby-wise. They don't like it in like their tournaments or anything.
Right.
And so, well, here's a way for them to compete. Release a sprue that's $40 but has 120 parts on it, and now someone can customize with official stuff. I really like that. That makes me want to always get back into Space Marines when they give them more options. But I like it when it's a good solution to not just pick 2 traits, because that version always led to everyone building the same thing, no matter what chapter they were.
Well, and then the bigger issue was that you weren't locked out from taking models from the official chapters either.
You weren't.
So it was like,
yeah.
So it was like, I remember one particular Grease one, and we could see that again, and I hope we don't, where it was like, all right, well, I'm going to bring all these Ultramarine named characters, because I mean, in a system like this, whoever has the most unique stuff that can take advantage of it ends up being the best. Right now, that's Ultramarines. They've got 8 named characters. They can do everything. They've got access to everything, and then also have all of these epic heroes. They would do something like, well, the one aspect of Raven Guard's rules of not being able to be targeted outside of 18 inches or 12 inches, whatever it was. Oh, I like that, but I also like this other one where I can run in charge.
From White Guards, yeah.
I'm going to use those 2 rules together, so I can't be targeted. I move very fast, and then also I'm Ultramarines. So now I've got Gilliman who can run in charge and can't be targeted outside of 18. It's like,
and I've got more CP than any other army, right? Yeah.
And so it's like, well, that was sort of balanced around you playing a very specific chapter and playing a specific way and not having access to all these tools, because you've got a powerful special, army rule. But if you give it to everybody, it's like, now you've broken it. Now there's an optimal. Now there's a go-to for everybody, and it's just better than anything else. So you're just only going to see that.
Yeah. So I think they've got an opportunity to do it if they just do these like kind of wave releases where it's like plastic character, plastic upgrade sprue, single PDF of rules that only work with that name. I think that's Yeah, it's not as cool as having your own codex, but let's be real, they can't have 30 Space Marine codexes out there, and no other faction gets to play that way. So I think this is a cool way to do it for them. And who knows, that'd be kind of neat, right? See Tiberius the Red
I
Wave
mean,
plastic.
yeah, absolutely. We might see the same thing happen for Chaos, you know, because
Yep.
there's all those legions that could
Yep.
also get a similar treatment. Was the Raptors a Forge World chapter?
The
Like the dark
Raptors,
green, they had like a chapter master with a sniper rifle.
you might be right.
I think that was another one.
There
Maybe
was
not a sniper
also,
rifle, but like a stalker bolt rifle or something.
yeah, and they also had rules for named guys that didn't have models. Like they had Elias Isidon, who was like a successor chapter to the Iron Hands, the Sons of Medusa or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they would do stuff like that. But now some of that's good, and some of that was a grievance I had with Forge World. Like the existence of Forge World was predicated on, it was like a subgroup of nerds who were all about the Imperium all the time. And so for Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, and Space Marines, they would just make new things. They just make new models, make new rules. They weren't on any sort of restriction or on a leash of any kind.
Or a timetable. It would just
No.
come out randomly.
So it would just come out randomly. Then they would release great big books with their own rules and stuff. And then like tournament organizers didn't know what to do at the time, and GW wasn't really getting involved. And so they would just like, sure, you can play. And then it was too much. The Imperium had access to just way too much stuff that nobody else did. At one point, I think there were like 1,200 units that were available to Imperium armies. Like Games Workshop started to then get involved around 8th edition to actually designing the rules for the Forge World units. And now they've scaled back, and most of it's been legends or just it's been cut.
Yeah.
But now they're making plastic versions that bring some of it back. And this would be a really cool way to do it. I hope they do. So I don't know. And I think they're taking a little bit of a cue again from Age of Sigmar, where we saw Age of Sigmar for a whole edition. You had armies with like 15 heroes, but the heroes really didn't do anything different from one another other than have a confusing name to remember. Now those heroes are really affecting modularly how the army plays, at least in these newer wave of books. I hope that continues as well. I see no reason why it wouldn't, especially with stuff like Consulate holds and ogres getting named guys finally. Well, they can do that in 40K too. You want to give people a new way to play Space Marines, give them a chapter leader, detachment of rules. There's a fun new way to play them.
Yeah, great. I was looking back to see the articles released on Mondays, just to see how accurate that was.
Mm-hmm.
And the Iron Warriors named guy was on a Monday. Defiler was on a Monday. Mutilators were on a Monday.
Mm.
So yes, a lot of like Monday new things being shown.
They're doing a good job of like keeping the lid on most of them. Like rumors will come out, and sometimes you get a weird pixelated, dirty picture, but like it's a lot of these. There's just been a lid on it, and then on a Monday they're like, "Surprise, this thing."
Yeah, like the update to what is it? AdMac was. I had no idea.
I had no idea they were getting
a
new Tech Priest Dominus who's going to be very different from Call, and then a whole unit of guys. Like, yeah.
Although looking at that unit of guys they got, slap a couple tails and a rat head on there, they look like Skaven to me.
You got some Skaven.
Well, it's the pose. Like I do see that. I kind of look out for that all the time. But like just how they're hunched, like especially like the leader. Oh my gosh! If you pull that picture up, the leader, he's got like a machine gun on his shoulder and he's holding a sword out. You take that model and you like superimpose what they called the storm vermin over top of him.
Oh sure,
it's the exact same pose. It's kind of this hunched over, sword out, like, you know, if you saw a tail outside of that little cloak and then he had a rat head with a mechanical eye, you'd be like, yeah, you didn't change this model at all. You know, like they are so close to being Skaven. It's really funny. And they shall be. I will make a unit that does something.
Speaking of Skaven being in everything, while I do not believe they will make Skaven a 40K army,
I hope not.
We have seen interesting people talk again about this very interesting kind of expanding lore around the Eightfold Path, the 8-pointed star of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the names that comes up, even on the 40K side, is some aspect of ruin. It like not only ruins existence in the material realm, but it like ruins the other chaos gods' plans all the time. And some people have tried to claim that's with the Emperor and whatever, yada yada. What I do know is that in Age of Sigmar, the Great Horned Rat is often called like the Ruin Bringer or the Bringer of the Ruin Storm. And so it's like that's an interesting thought that aspect maybe takes a different form in the 40K universe, but now there's a parallel possibly
Still there. Yeah, because ruin could be anything. Ruin's just a breakdown. Ruin's just things not working, right? Like things decaying, and not really decaying, like biologically decaying, but like you leave something dormant for so long, it eventually corrodes and rusts and falls apart, right? Ruin. I mean, that's I think a fundamental aspect of the galaxy, and certainly could be an aspect of one of the chaos gods. Of just literally everything stops working eventually, and I don't know. I could see that coming about. I mean, we had those ruinous, undivided demons from
Demons of the Ruinstorm.
Yeah, from the Ruinstorm. So like Seamus and those guys. Like, I mean, it's a thing. We've got legions and primarchs and whatever of chaos that follow something, if not the four obvious chaos beings. Like they follow something's giving them gifts, something's giving them power. What is it? You know what I mean? Like I hope they do pay that off. We see more, we expand on that without dumbing it down, without making it silly, right? Without fully explaining, because we still don't have a full explanation of the warp in general.
Nope.
And that kind of thing. So like, I don't want it to be explained. It's a thing. It like, we know some stuff about it, but we don't know anything. We don't need to.
Well, yeah, and even like I said, now that I'm almost done with that Call trilogy, I'm in deep into book 3. It was like even reading what Vashtor is, and they very clearly explain in the book that this isn't a demon. This is something more. He's very dangerous, and like he is this lord of machines, and has always crafted them in the warp for eons, even though machines haven't always existed. But like, it's funny as he refers to a lot of mortals with disdain, even when they want to serve him, but he referred specifically to Perturabo as the Lord of Iron. He calls him that. He gives him that title, even though Perturabo's not in the book. But then it's like, well, then what is the Void Dragon? If right. Vashtor is the warp entity that's the Lord of Machines, this god, this primordial entity of machines, what is that thing then? Are they related? Are they completely separate entities? Is one an astral projection of the other? Are they not connected at all? I don't know, but it was really neat to kind of try to understand the difference there. But again, that's something I don't think I need fully explained. I would rather it be that topic of what if or be kind of thing. And so I like the idea that maybe in the 40K side, they don't ever explain all the chaos deities. You keep some of this in mystery, because you could certainly argue maybe Vashtor is one of the 8. Maybe Be'lakor is one of the 8. Maybe, right. Maybe they're lesser powers, right? But you've got, or they wax and wane, right? That's a chaos thing. And maybe you don't ever explain what the last ones are. Maybe something is similar to the Great Horned Rat, but it hasn't manifested in anything yet. It's just an idea right now. So I don't know. That has become such a fascinating thing, and I love that they're even driving campaigns and models based on their Black Library lore, because their books, in my opinion, are getting very good. Although they do have a separate app coming, we'll see if that's any good.
I don't know what that's going to even look like. What is it even going to do?
Well, you can download it, but it doesn't have anything right now. It basically logs whatever books you've bought through the Black Library site, and so it allows you to keep accessing them. It's supposed to have a big overhaul coming because they're going to remove the Black Library website. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's just going to be everything's going to be through the app. And I guess I'm wondering what they're going to do there. And I say that because their first launch of apps typically doesn't go well. and then over time it becomes good. Case in point, both the 40K and Age of Sigmar apps were like bad when they launched. Now they're great. Functionally, they're great. The rules are updated. You can build your list in them. I still hate the paywall behind them, but that's another. So, but a lot of their audiobooks are currently available on a service like Audible, which is super well established. So I don't know if they're going to then restrict that and say Amazon can't have them anymore, or what their plan is. But I guess,
like, yeah, what if I want to buy the physical book? I don't want to buy an audiobook or a digital PDF EPUB. Like, I can't go to the website and order a physical book anymore.
right?
I have to go through your app, and then do I order a physical book in the app? Like,
Right.
if I buy a physical book in your app, do I get the digital one too, and then the audiobook, and like all like it's weird. I don't know.
Well, I think even right now it's hard to order physical books from Black Library. It's like I go there and all I see are the digital versions, and you have to really scrounge for it, or you have to go find some other online bookstore, walk into Barnes and Noble, heaven forbid, and hope it's in there. And or you show up to a convention and you can maybe get it at their booth. But I realize paper books aren't as in vogue and maybe don't sell as well now. Why don't they learn that with codexes and battle tomes? But, you know, but yeah, that's a good question. Like, is it going to be hard to get physical books from them if they do it this way?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Or is it going to be
I feel like
to pay for it?
I feel like if I want a physical book, it's going to be a real book, not a codex.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I like having books on bookshelves.
So do I.
You know, like I want to be able to like lay down and read a book, sit somewhere and read a book. I don't want to like sit there and staring at my phone and scrolling through an EPUB.
Well, and not,
you know what I mean?
And even with an audiobook, not to go all like other kind of nerd here, but there are all kinds of studies that show that holding a physical book, seeing words, processing them in your brain, like does so much more to exercise your mental health than just listening to an audiobook. So I don't give up on paper books. It's only when I'm reading like multiple books at a time that I might have one of them be audio, but I still want a physical book. Is this Black Library app going to make it so I can't get them now? Like I have to get digital versions?
For me, I feel like I'm able to process so much more when I read as opposed to listening. Because if I'm listening, I'm doing something else.
Right, you're distracted.
If I'm doing something else, I'm not paying attention. Or I'm falling asleep or something. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Now, don't get me wrong. Some audiobooks are amazing because they have a voice actor do it. They have, Charles Dance will read it or something. Like something like that, where it's an amazing voice actor. The Stephen King books for the Gunslinger, the Dark Tower series, amazing. The first 4 or 5 books are are the same voice actor is reading them. He has an accident in real life back when he was recording the 6 and 7 books. Okay. And so he sounds like there was a big gap. And he sounds way different when he's reading them in the further books. He almost couldn't do it. He almost had to find someone else, I believe. But like he brought those books to life. I would highly recommend listening to those ones in audio because they are so entertaining. Some books are very entertaining like that, where it's like I read the book, but then also go listen to it. Because it's fun.
If I'm doing a second pass through a book, sometimes I'll do the audio version, and some of them have been hit and some have been missed. I was like going back through some old Horus Heresy ones, like books 1 through 5. Those first 5 you have to read to set up the whole thing. And it's funny, is like you can find an audio version where the voice actor, it was like, oh no. Because it's like they get to all these Primarchs and Space Marines and all of a sudden they sound like Starscream from Transformers, where they're
that's right.
They're like nasally and whiny, and it's like, I don't want to go lead this squad. It's like, that is not how I would picture that guy ever sounding ever. But other ones are very good.
Then my other hesitance about audiobooks now is the prevalence of things like AI, right?
Yep.
You go and listen to an audiobook now. It's like, well, is this a real person? Is this just they plugged the book into an AI,
Chat GPT or something,
and it's just reading it that way. It's just like I don't want that either. Like I'm very much in the camp of like abominable technology, right? The abominable intelligence,
right? That's what the military calls it when he's in jest. Is the abominable.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like I think going down a path here, and it's like I want more things now to be analog. I want more things to be non-digital. I want more things to be human, like clearly human created, clearly human influenced.
Well, you even get like YouTube videos that are conducting a review of something, providing a history of something, whatever, and then you can tell a few seconds in it's an AI voice because like the pacing's wrong and they'll mispronounce
inflection's
things out of
weird. Like
nowhere.
it doesn't know how to read a comma,
Right?
you know, like that kind of thing. It's like
You could be watching a history of boxing or something. I'd be like, in Mike Tyson's second fight with Evander Holyfield, the real deal, he then bit his ear, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. And now I think AI has its uses. I do. It's in art places like this. I just feel like it's so strange, and I then go hard into analog. Like I go harder into an older
For
way.
sure. No, I completely agree with that. There's uses for it. Big data analytics, as long as it's accurate, it's actually analyzing the data, not making things up that's believable. Because that's a big problem right now. Is it's modeling based on things that it sees, and so it's convincingly coming up with make believe things that look like what it's seen. It's not actually doing analyzing.
Right.
That's a problem. You know, but I mean, I had seen it being used for doing things like looking at medical scans and things like that. It has a much higher accuracy of finding anomalies compared to a human who's, you know, basically looking at a 16,000 DPI image and trying to pick out very specific things. It's a gigantic image, X-rays and stuff, gigantic image, a lot of information. Computers are very good at finding very specific things in those. Great use for it. But
I've seen people do it with like
art to people. Thanks.
Right. Right. I've seen people use it with spreadsheet analytics and things, and it's like, and it's very useful. There are some schools, which could be for worse, across the globe that are just allowing students to use it for assignment research. And now that takes away a key aspect of learning, in my opinion. When you just can say,
find an answer.
I don't want to research the history of whatever this event was. I'll just, hey, AI, tell me. But so there are uses for it, but I think with stuff like art and creativity, I don't like it. And I don't like listening to an audiobook that's just read by one. I don't know.
It takes the artistry out of it. You know, like voice acting is a thing, right? Like you can bring characters to life. And
not everybody can do it. Like
AI brings characters to lifeless. So not the same.
Not the same. Yeah. You also know what AI can't do yet? It cannot cook a good meal, and it can
drink. It can drink like crazy though. But cook a meal or appreciate the flavor and the taste.
Just can't do it. Never will be able to. Yeah. Speaking of appreciating a good meal,
good eating.
let's go eat one.